Hello and welcome to Fintech Focus TV with me, Toby Babb. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Raj from IS Prime. Raj, how are you?
Hi, I'm very well. How are you?
Very good indeed, thank you.
Good.
Very good indeed. Listen, it's been a pretty incredible ride for you so far, 2020, right?
It has been pretty hectic.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You've made the list
Thank you.
amongst many other accolades so far this year, which I'm sure we'll come on to in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But the most influential fintech companies of 2020. For those of you who haven't heard too much about the prime of prime world of the company itself, tell us a little bit about the background, your background in the company.
So my background is 30 plus years within the financial markets. Historically, I've been involved in the futures markets. As I'm sure many people know, in the good old days, it was a voice-broke market.
Yeah.
It went electronic very, very quickly at the turn of the century. So I've been really heavily involved in electronic trading for the last 20 odd years. IS Prime, Johnny and I set that up in 2014.
Yeah.
Having met each other 10 years prior to that at Goldman Sachs on the electronic trading business. We honed our skills within electronic trading. We had a quick 5-year stint at a company called Sitlani Financial, which is a very well-known family-owned traditional brokerage business. We built some electronic trading capabilities up there, and we started to really get under the hood of Prime.
Yeah.
And that spurred us on to set up our own business and our own company. And the emphasis for Prime, from as far as we're concerned, and we can go into Prime if you have specific questions on Prime.
Yeah,
but
sure.
is the financial markets are a technology war. At the end of the day, it's a very fast-moving environment. People need to have exceptionally good trading architecture.
Yeah.
Speed is of the essence. And we just thought to ourselves, we want to build a business that is going to be looking forward. It's going to be very tech focused. Where and how and who, with whom do we build that business? We came to a decision that a hedge fund that is based on quantitative trading, on execution optimization, a hedge fund that has actually got trading in its DNA, albeit all automated, that for us was the sort of environment we felt would be a platform within which we could thrive. So when we started our conversations with ISAM, which is our main shareholder, one of the attractions that they provided to us was a very strong team of technology developers, some quant skills that we felt were very, very important, because we ultimately wanted to build the standout prime of prime in order to service the many retail brokers that we cater to.
Yeah.
So I mean, essentially, our role is, I don't believe it's particularly complicated. I just think we do it very, very well.
Yeah.
Our role is to provide access to bank side, or commonly referred to as street side liquidity, to the smaller and medium-sized retail foreign exchange brokers, FX brokers, that themselves don't have the financial wherewithal, the internal risk management expertise, and the technology to access the mainstream providers. So we sit very comfortably as a well-capitalized company that embraces technology. We sit very comfortably between small brokerage firms that want high quality execution, very aggressive liquidity, and access to technology. And we face off the street effectively on their behalf, and we're helping both sides of that equation. Our goal is to make sure that our street providers, which are typically the main market making banks, some of the non-bank liquidity providers, or LPs as we refer to them, they make up our pool of liquidity providers.
Yeah.
We take all of that liquidity, we put it into our own in-house aggregation technology, which means we're able to publish a very aggressive price because we're taking in a vast array of pricing from a good many participants.
Yeah.
We can then bundle that up within the aggregation. We then publish that out to people that want to consume that liquidity and who themselves will pass it further downstream, ultimately to a retail client base. And as I said, our role in that is very, very important because largely, I think, because everyone within our organization has an institutional background. We've only ever really worked for the institutions, the classic sell side. And so I find that one of our differentiators against the competition is the level of empathy we're going to be showing to the street side providers, because we've been in that area ourselves and we know what it's like to be on the sell side. And whereas a lot of our competitors will just use it as a utility. And I think it's our ability to think just a bit smarter, use better quality technology, and actually manage the relationship on that side of the equation with the liquidity providers in exactly the same way we manage the relationship with our clients. And so that way, if you're the middleman in all of that, your job is really to make sure that both sides of that equation are very happy. From their side, it's what are they receiving? From their side, it's what are they receiving? And we have to decide, how do we manage the flow? What's good flow? What's tricky flow, challenging flow, toxic flow? We have to sanitize and filter it a little bit and make sure that the guys on the street, who are ultimately our providers, are also getting well taken care of. And I don't necessarily mean handsomely getting taken care of. I mean that in the markets that we currently participate, everyone is more in a risk off than a risk on environment. So the more we can help the major players manage the flow that we're sending them, the more likely, the higher the delta, that they will look to us as a really good client and provide us with exceptionally good pricing. And that's ultimately where we stand out amongst the crowd.
I think that standing out amongst the crowd is a really interesting aspect, because we're speaking to and have spoken to through the judging process so many of the companies on the list who are standing out, and to differentiate yourself from a very, very busy market is difficult, right?
Very difficult.
But there are common trends that come through time and time again. I think you've encapsulated a couple of them in there.
Yeah.
The empathy of the user being particularly important, and the quality of the tech. Now, quality of tech for me is a really interesting part, because people are doing a lot of things, which are just utilising legacy technology, or trying to use technology to be too clever in some instances. I think a feature of what the judges were seeing were people who are using the right tech at the right time for the right opportunity to solve the right problem.
Agree.
And it sounds like you guys have done that. What else do you think would have stood out to our judges?
I'd like to think the quality of service given by our electronic trading support team. It's a really well established, accomplished team. They are totally proactive towards the clients. They don't hang around waiting for problems to arise. They're looking, monitoring, and if there are any issues of whatever nature, they're onto the clients. They're resolving immediately. We don't have a sort of ticket system where the client just becomes a number in a massive long queue and never knows when they're going to get a resolution to their query. They're going to be, we're on it immediately, and we're going straight back to the client, trying to get things sorted out as soon as we possibly can. There's none of this, we'll call you back in 2 hours' time, and in the interim, who knows what's going to happen to your business. So they're very empathetic towards the client's needs, and ultimately that's recognizing that they may be our clients, but they themselves are servicing hundreds of, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of end retail clients. So anything that goes wrong upstream needs to be resolved very, very quickly. Otherwise, you're potentially jeopardizing your client's entire existence. So I think that's a standout for us as well. So it's marrying up good quality people and using the technology correctly and building the appropriate technology.
What does good quality people look like for you? Because it is a feature, and you look at anything about investment or anything around companies that are thriving, it will be that core team that allows people to really thrive. What is it that you've done that has allowed you to attract and retain those good people?
We've been very thorough and exhaustive in our selection process of the individuals that have come into that team. They're all very, very bright individuals, typically with a science or a maths background. So hopefully technology and high-speed trading is second nature to them in terms of the technology stack that's being deployed. But it's also this exhaustive interview process and making sure. I think you can probably find many, many very bright individuals who are all very tech savvy, but it's also trying to make sure that they can interact with each other and that the chemistry they're building is good, and that there really is a team environment, that they're not siloed doing their own coding, but they're all talking with each other. They're all they're in little clusters themselves of little teams, building bits of kit or thinking about how kit can be deployed. So it's really just keeping that balance between sort of quite geeky individuals, but people with a personality as well, who can interact with each other and also feed off each other and get the best out of each other.
And more and more of a common mix as well.
Absolutely, and they are absolutely key. Whether it's our electronic trading guys who are sort of client facing, or the guys within the technology team who are actually in the weeds of building the technology.
Yeah.
That needs to mesh, and it's a very difficult task, I think, to marry up the skill sets and the personalities
Yeah.
such that they all know exactly what they're doing at any given moment in time. They're reading each other, they're understanding each other.
Yeah.
And our interview process is horribly exhaustive. It takes us, ages to pull the trigger on a hire. But I think it's it's paid off.
The higher slow aspects of getting the right the right hire in the right seat.
Yeah.
There's a very interesting thing that you said earlier on that I quite like, which you were talking about tech warfare, effectively, within finance.
Yeah.
It's something we've seen. Everyone wants to be the fastest. Everyone wants to have the best availability, etc., etc. Tell me a little bit more. Expand on that a little bit. It's,
Well, if we take the speed issue, the reality is that over the last 20 odd plus years that electronic trading has taken off, speed is of the essence. Markets move very, very quickly. There are far more algorithms trading in the market than there ever were before. News is published within milliseconds, and so your trading architecture, your execution systems, they just simply have to be really, really fast. They've also got to be very, very robust, because particularly within foreign exchange, spot FX, which is our main product, the sheer number of updates we are receiving from our liquidity providers, just the price updates, bids and offers coming through. If you imagine, we maybe have up to 12 different liquidity providers putting prices into our aggregation, and these things are updating, I don't know, maybe 100 times a second, even more than that. There's a massive amount of data. So you've got to make sure that your kit is going to be able to handle, on the one hand, the amount of data that's just coming through, just so that the prices are being kept up to date with what's going on in the market. But on the other hand, it's also the ability, once you've got the prices, to actually then execute on them and send those orders back to where they need to go, also exceptionally quickly, because on the publication of, say, a very key economic release in the US, typically the non-farm payroll, we might be processing upwards of 100,000 orders a second. You've got to have bloody good technical architecture to just handle the capacity of data that's being sent around the globe. So and that's continuously moving. That's never going to slow down. I think the next part is developing technology that is helping us identify a far more sophisticated client base. Again, historically, looking at the client base that we talk to and they deal with, they've had very ordinary retail type clients. So typically the flow is referred to as very friendly or soft flow. But as time has gone on, and as connectivity has become better, and access to the internet or mobile trading has mushroomed, what's happened is in and amongst the typical retail trader, there are some professional traders, and those professional traders, they could be bank market making guys who now want to manage their own money. They could be portfolio managers who are managing some wealth for some other people. And those guys or ladies tend to be unbelievably sophisticated in their own deployment of technology. And so if all of a sudden you've gone from someone that's just buying and selling because they fancy a gamble to some very serious traders, then your technology needs to be able to identify, what sort of flow am I getting here? Is this radioactive, toxic flow? Which pool of liquidity do I need to send it down? Which of my favorite banks or my preferred banks are likely to be able to deal with that flow better than the next guy? They're all competing, but certain banks might have an axe on a certain currency pair. They might have a skew on their book, which means they're going to be better or more aggressive in dollar yen, and the next guy down the street might be better in CAD Aussie. So the number of pairs that are traded, the time of the day, the order size, there are many things that make up an order, and how we consume the order and how we execute the order. So we have to build technology that is going to be very, very fast moving, and robust.
And it's always been that race, isn't it? If you look at
it's
it,
always
being
been that race.
Faster and better technology in it, and the genuine advantage of decision making, isn't it? It's accurate decision making about where best to do that. I think today's trader is 20 years ago I started in the financial markets recruitment space. 10 years ago we launched this business, and I think the speed of and actual significance that tech has been has been placed on tech has just been phenomenal over the last few years.
Absolutely. And I wanted to also mention, I forgot to mention, I think it's also very important that historically the banks only ever had the market making centers in New York. So everyone had a New York data center, and that's where you had the connectivity. Then clients say, well, that's a bit too long and it's a bit too far, and I need something more local. Can you not connect me into your LD4 infrastructure? So then you start to deploy and research, and okay, how do I best connect my clients up to LD4? And then of course you want to have failover across both centers, because in the days of high-speed trading, who knows when someone somewhere switches a router off, or there's a switch that goes and some pricing disappears. You've got to have 24-hour resilience across different trading centers. So this animal can only get more complex, and it's any problem that arises is inevitably going to be resolved using technology and not human manpower. I mean, manpower to build the technology, but it's going to be a technical solution or a technology-driven solution that will answer the problems that are being thrown up by clients.
Absolutely. So look, we've got an interesting insight into what lies ahead in the market there as well. Tell us a little bit about what lies ahead for you guys.
Well, we're still growing. We've had year after year we've built the business. We've increased the headcount. Our most recent accolade was at the back end of last year when we got our license for Type 3 leveraged foreign exchange in Hong Kong. Regrettably, given Hong Kong's political machinations now added to that the coronavirus, we basically said we've got to put the thing on hold. We'll do a little bit of soft marketing, soft selling, but we haven't been able to have the big bang we'd like to. But hopefully, touch wood, once the situation is under control and calms down, then one of our key focuses certainly for the next 12 to 18 months will be to build out our business in the Far East, because it is a massively growing market. People like trading financial instruments. There are many smaller peripheral countries where wealth is being created, and these ultimate end individuals want to start, playing with the big boys and trading in the markets that the bigger boys have access to. So I wouldn't say it's a blank sheet of paper, but I think we would be one of the most credible primes to be soliciting business in the Far East with a very credible regulator.
And you're physically out there, yes?
We're physically out there. We have an office out there. We have 5 people out there. So we're dipping our toe in the water. We have to have people on the ground there anyway, because our electronic trading solutions team is a 24-hour team. So we actually have people in Hong Kong helping clients in that time zone. The bulk of that team is based in London, but we also have an office in the US in Grand Rapids, which is in Michigan, which is a technology risk analytics business, but they also perform a very vital service in covering the US trading hours. So that's something that we're constantly building out as well, because as we grow the client base, we just need more people that are going to be there to help these clients get the service they need, and to provide the solutions they're looking for, the sort of bespoke element to what we do.
So listen, it sounds like a really exciting time of growth. Recognition from the financial technologists, with regards to the influence that you have in the markets this year. Another FT, the real one maybe, some would say, have also recognised you as one of the the fastest growing fintechs in Europe. Is that?
That's correct. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, look, I think I think over the last 5 years we have actually built a pretty credible business, and historically we've shied away from publicity. We've just decided to just do a good job and let do that. Yeah, exactly. But I think now we are actually above the radar. I would say that people actually do have heard about us. They know that certainly our cats out of the bag. Competition are hurting quite badly, because we are lifting quite a lot of their business, and I think that news does get around. With the help of the companies that help us build our profile within the market, our PR, our marketing companies that stay behind us, they're helping us get that profile out there. And I think, we are in a niche market, so it takes a lot of understanding. But I think once people like the FT, your good selves, start figuring out, okay, well, there's an interesting, world of financial markets trading that maybe not that many people know about. All of a sudden, we become, I think, quite popular, and we're on the radar. People come and ask us a lot of questions about client retention, how many clients, what's your percentage of attrition, which is pretty much zero. What's your staff rotation like? Again, pretty much zero. Is your technology built in-house, or is it licensed or rented or whatever it might be? When we started the business, we had quite a lot of stuff that we had to license because we wanted to learn about it. But over time, over the 5 years, we've peeled it all away, and we've pretty much built everything from scratch in-house.
Yeah.
So we get the questions about the technology, and I guess, yeah, I mean, without wishing to sound arrogant or smug, it's, you know, it's very nice and it's flattering. But in a way, I'm not surprised that the FT has recognised us, because we are, I think, you know, we're punching above our weight, and hopefully doing a very good job for our clients. And I think our client endorsements will also go some way to helping people understand that we are one of the main players in the market.
Yeah. Well, listen, congratulations. It sounds like it's going brilliantly well, swimmingly well.
Thank you very much.
Long may that continue throughout the rest of 2020. It's been great hearing about it from my side. I'm sure our listeners and viewers have enjoyed the same. But if they do want to get in touch and reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
They can email me directly at raj.sitlani@isprimefx.com, or our info @ or they can hit our website, which is isprimefx.com, and they can send in a query, and I'm sure one of our team will be all over it.
Well, we've heard about that great team, so I'd be very disappointed if they
Indeed.
weren't. Listen, wonderful speaking to you. Thanks so much for sharing
Thank you very much.
the story, and I'm looking forward to hearing loads more about it as well. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you soon on another episode of FinTech Focus TV. Cheers.